Right, well we're here in a private woodland in the north of Lancashire, somewhere in the Lune Valley. It's got a mixture of trees in here, but key to it is there's some aspen in the southeast corner, and what we're mainly looking for is lead coloured drab, which is actually quite difficult to identify. But even just looking at the side of the trap now, and we haven't looked inside yet, there's quite a few moths here. For example, the engrailed on the outside, a Diurnia fagella just here, possibly early tooth stripe there, but I'm going to take a specimen of that just to be absolutely sure, because it's very similar to the mottled grey. I think there's a lead coloured drab on top here actually, Jane, if you want to have a look, if you can see that one where I'm pointing. And I think that's a lead coloured drab in here, although very, very warm. Easily confused, of course, with some of the clouded drabs. Another Diurnia fagella down there. A common Quaker. The catches that you get in woodland areas at this time of year are massively bigger than what you get in town situations. Now I'm going to take the top off this. You've seen the Diurnia fagella just here.
Yep.
Oops, and that I think was a lead coloured drab that just fell off.
Got that?
Yeah, engrailed. And that one, yeah, I'm fairly certain that's early tooth stripe.
Okay.
So
Yep.
this is a 15 watt actinic heath trap, which are ideal for putting in woodlands, and you'll always catch much bigger numbers of moth. That's a small Quaker just there. Not one of the many orthosias that are out at this time of year. Let's have a look inside. Okay, so we've got a nice early thorn here. More small Quakers, a couple of them. Common Quaker, another common Quaker I think. We'll just turn it over and see what we got. And we've got lots and lots of Hebrew characters on here. At least 3, 4, 5 Hebrew characters. A chestnut in there. And another common Quaker. And I'm just going to write these down before I forget. So can we just so early thorn. And there's a slightly better lead coloured drab, and you can see the little chevrons at the bottom. It's cross-lined better on that one. Yeah. 2 small Quakers and a common Quaker there. Another lead coloured drab, of course. Another. I'll bring out the next one. We have lots of Hebrew characters. I'm going to tap that one out because I can't tell what it is. Small Quaker. Mainly small Quakers. Hebrew character. There's a dark red thing in there which I'm really not sure about. I'm going to have to get it out of the pot. You see the one I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a chestnut, but I'll double check. Common Quaker and more Hebrew characters.
Yeah.
We've got some more drabs here. That's a typical clouded drab. Another clouded drab, quite big. Hebrew character. Sometimes moths are just so warm that you need to throw them away, and that's a really good example in there. More Hebrew characters, more small Quakers, common Quakers, 2 of them, more Hebrew characters, more small Quakers. So 1, 2, 2, 3. And we have another more clouded drab, quite a big common Quaker in there.
Yep.
And somehow I managed to miss the engrailed on the outside.
Beautiful.
Yep. Hebrew characters, more clouded drab, just 1 of each. Just 2 more Hebrew characters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, looks like we've got a red-green carpet which comes out in the spring as well as autumn. It's much more common in the autumn, but that's a red-green carpet. There's another possibly early tooth stripe here, but I want to check it. And that one could actually be mottled grey.
It does look different
Yeah,
to
yeah, we'll double check that one.
Okay.
And rather nicely, everybody's favourite at this time of year. You can get, this is the sort of hawk moth of spring, if you like, the only big moth you do catch at this time of year.
Oak beauty.
Just a rather nice oak beauty, yeah.
There we are.
Yep. While I'm remembering, I'll write those down. Another rather nice engrailed there, nice fresh one.
Lovely.
Yeah, and we've got several common, 2 common Quakers, 3 common Quakers, 3 small Quakers, and a typical dark clouded drab just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 common, 3.
And engrailed, yeah. 2 small Quakers in there. That's it. Just a single Hebrew character on that one.
Yeah. It's always interesting seeing other people's traps, because I always throw the lids from my egg boxes away.
Oh, right.
I just use the egg bits rather than
Oh,
the
I
lids.
see. Yes, yes. Yeah. Okay, so we've got another common Quaker. I think a clouded drab, but again, it's quite worn. Is that one? Lacks the chevrons that you would get on the lead coloured.
And another
Early grey, yeah.
Beautiful.
Which no doubt most people who trap in towns will see regularly.
Yeah, I get those.
So,
Or not had one yet though.
yeah.
No, but I haven't had my trap out too much yet.
The best things to use rather than these egg boxes, if you can, are the flat egg packing, because then you don't get the very deep holes that you sometimes get. Those deep holes can be very difficult to get stuff out of.
Yeah.
So again, there's a typical clouded drab, and you can kind of see the difference in size with the, well, that's in a pot. You can see it's somewhat, the other one is somewhat smaller.
Yeah.
So clouded drab there. Just one small Quaker on that one. One small Quaker in there. Write them down. Okay, so we've got a chestnut. I think that's a clouded drab. In there, quite big. One of the more colourful clouded drabs.
That's the chestnut.
Ah, there's a decent lead coloured on the outside.
Oh, on the outside. This one?
Yeah. Yeah, so I've just counted up, we've got about 120 moths, give or take, and 15 different species, and that's hugely more than you'd ever get in a garden at this time of year. So just 2 small traps, well worth bringing them out into some local woodland if you've got them, and you'll see massively more moths than you would normally see.
Right, good morning. We're now gone up several metres onto the Moorland edge, and this is an estate managed by owned by Christopher Mason Hornby, and we've been very kindly offered a moth trap socket here in the outhouse of the keepers, and we've been running it here for 2 years now. Just a bit about the land here. Obviously we're on the moorland edge, so we get heather moorland species, we get some pine species from Thrushing Plantation up at the top here. But the other thing that's happening here is the sheep have been taken off the upland pasture here, and the intention is to restore it to flower-rich upland meadows. And there's a huge area, and we've got a small herd of lean cattle, which now are up on the upland purple moorgrass at the moment, and in the autumn they'll be here and grazing the hay meadows below. Obviously that might take 2 or 3 years to show some really significant florally rich content, but certainly obvious signs of tormental heath milkwort and all that kind of stuff coming up. So whether that's going to affect the moth catchers and we get more variety, we'll see.
Are they going to be reseeding at all? Because I know there are some donor sites sort of probably the other side of the hills.
Not at the moment. I'm just going to leave it and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's only just taken the sheep off.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with altitude, you get time warps, and basically that means that the season in upland traps is behind. So if we lift this up here and look on the veins, and we've got, and we did have Diurnia figella there, and that one there is a March moth. Now March moths often come out in February at lowland sites, and by the middle of March they've gone, and the woodland site we've just done, there weren't any, were there?
Yes, a few Diurnia figella.
No March moth. No, they'd finished.
Although I've had them in my garden this morning. In lowland area. Yeah,
so that's hasn't been seen at the lowland site today. Diurnia figella, I think we've talked about in the woodland. That's a sort of large micro moth that you get this time of year. And what happens in these upland sites round here is that we get one of these carpet moths that feeds on bedstraws, and there's several of them species. There's green carpet and this one mottled grey, which is the early season one, and you get an absolute fest of them. They're really, really common on the fell edge here. We had 112 in a trap here the other day, and we'll go through. There's one there, but we'll see what we can find. Ubiquitous and found at various heights, and you've already seen them this morning. The Hebrew character that creeps up here onto the moors as well. And similarly, moth called the common quaker, which doesn't want to cooperate. Let's have a look at the rest of it. Ah, yes. We've got quite a bit of birch round here, and again, in the lowland sites, this species is pretty well finished. But up here, we've still got quite a few of them out, and that's a moth called yellow-horned. It's one of these that's very, very easy to miss because it comes out early in the spring, and it often has a very short emergence period for any given site. So if you miss a couple of weeks trapping, you can miss the whole emergence period of this species.
Okay.
And the horns, you can see not very well. It's getting a bit scruffy, this one, I think. Yeah, it's getting near the end of its time, that. Okay. Small quaker you've already seen hundreds of down in the oak woodlands. That's the commonest oak woodland species. Another mottled grey there, and another oak beauty. Again, they're still well out on the fells. There's quite a few of them up here. I think you still had one down there, in the woodland. Yeah. And the other characteristic moth of moorland or fell edge sites early in the spring is red chestnut. You do get it at all levels. You get odd ones in your garden traps and odd ones in woodland sites, but on the moorlands here, that tends to be the dominant moth during much of April at moorland or moorland edge sites. That's red chestnut.
We got them.
Yeah, we got them. There's more cooperative common quakers.
Yeah.
You can see the variation in colour on them. Three of them there.
Yeah, three altogether.
Another mottled grey. Easy to miss them on the egg packing. You can conceal themselves.
It's much paler than the one we saw at
There's quite a bit of variation in the early two-stripe, but they're actually a difficult bird to tell apart unless you've got your eye in. Given I haven't seen either of them for 7 years now, I just haven't got into this habitat.
Right, another red chestnut, a small quaker, two common quakers, and a Hebrew character on that one. Another March moth. Small quaker and common quaker. A bit more variety. More mottled greys. They're quite shinier mottled greys if you move them around and get them in sunlight, and you don't quite get that off the similar species early two-striped.
I think it's a green sheen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And mottled greys are sort of a shiny grey thing. Another red chestnut there, Diurnia frigella, and Hebrew character and common quaker down there in the bottom. I haven't done that side jump.
Okay, right.
I'll pass them to you now.
Well, that's quite a distinctive mottled grey, that one, isn't it?
Not repeating myself.
Very different.
There's clouded drab. More mottled greys on there, John. It's one of these Orphean or Ophian ichneumon flies. They're a bit of a nuisance when you're doing sheet and light trapping. They can go down your top and they don't sting, but they have got quite a sharp jab on them. Another one on that side. Very common on moorland. There's several species of them.
Yeah, that's an easy. Some of these are easy mottled greys to tell, aren't they?
just one Hebrew character on that one. You see the variation in size on mottled greys there.
Yeah.
A small one and a larger one. So there's 3 mottled greys on that one.
Good comparison
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. There were 3 on that, did you say?
Yeah.
Just 2
They're hard to see.
Yeah.
Hebrew character small Quaker. Hebrew character mottled grey and 2 red chestnuts.
Took me 7 years of trapping in my lowland site to see a single red chestnut.
Did it? Yeah. Starting to get the mottled grey fest here. There's 5 of them on view there.
Anything else in there?
Another mottled grey, another small Quaker, and on this side another mottled grey, and one you've already had on the lowland sites, a twin spotted Quaker.
It's a much better marked one though, that.
That
Yeah.
is, yeah. 2 common Quakers and a Hebrew character. Yet another March moth and 2 more mottled greys, 3 more mottled greys. Another mottled grey and very newly hatched clouded drab there. Another clouded drab.
How many mottled greys on that?
1, 2 mottled greys and a Hebrew character on there. Hoping for red swordgrass. It's a shame we haven't got any. They're quite regular here. 2 more mottled greys, Hebrew character, common Quaker. And another mottled grey, and another mottled grey, and 2 more mottled greys, and a red chestnut.
These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more of those.
Mass escape of mottled greys now. 10 more of them.
Yeah, there's also a Hebrew character.
Hebrew character and
something under here. Oops, what was that? It's a red chestnut.
red chestnut,
Yeah.
and the common Quaker. And another red chestnut. So there we go. It's a shame we're missing one or two of the specialities we get up here, like red swordgrass, but that's the way it goes. One of the things you learn very quickly about moorland trapping is to be very careful with interpreting the weather in relation to what's going to happen locally at the moorland site that you're at. Certainly on this side of the Pennines, when you get a light easterly forecast, you can often get, as we found out, sheet and light trapping at Leckfell and places like that. As soon as it gets to dusk, you can get a whoosh down the hillside of these katabatic winds. And this site, last year, we thought it was going to be alright one night. There was sort of 5 mile an hour marked on the map easterly, and we came back in the morning and the trap was scattered all over the yard, and a howling whirlwind of easterly winds blowing around the place. So we've got to be very careful. When you've got westerlies, southwesterlies, not a problem here. We've got the shelter of the hillside over there, so we can no problem at all in the southwest of the gale. If you're on the coast, your trap will be blown all over the place. We've just got to be very careful with these easterlies. So, even though it's supposed to be light winds tonight, it is easterly, and it's forecast easterly for the next 2 nights. So this great big rock here is going to go on top of the trap when I've finished, just to be on the safe side.
Brill. So
Does somebody help me with the rock, please?
yeah. So just so presume you're going to leave this here now, and the trap's on a timer.
We'll leave it. The trap is on a timer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you put it on top,
Yeah. Just gently on top.
how you put it
Very
on rock,
carefully.
gently on top. So
It's amazing how it.
it's stronger than it's got
Stronger
good
than
strong
you think.
supports actually.
Very good, strong supports
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
So there you go.